Hello, my name is Craig J. Davis, and welcome to my channel. This is an update video about a video that I made on the Nephilim giants. If you haven't seen that video, I will post it in the description box below. I made that video some time ago, and this video is an update. Also, as well, from Amazon, I ordered this book, 100 pics that prove Nephilim giants exist. So I'm not going to go too much into this because if you people are interested, then you can order this book yourself. Instead, I will be focusing on the computer screen. Before I go any further, the reason why I didn't make a sermon on Sunday is because I haven't been feeling very well. I'm in quite a lot of physical pain. I'm suffering from a gout, and a gout is extremely painful, and it isn't the first time that I've had it. It's extremely painful. I wouldn't waste it on my worst enemy. So, but anyway, let me start this video. As I said, this is an update video about a previous video that I made before on these Nephilim giants. What I forgot to say though in the first video is that the word Nephilim is a Hebrew word. And even though these creatures were giants, the word Nephilim does not mean a giant. The word Nephilim is Hebrew, and it means fallen ones, because these were the human hybrid offspring of fallen angels and female women, female humans. And so these creatures were demonic beyond the core, and so they weren't creatures of God. So anyway, so I'm here on this website, and I will also post this in the description box. I will also post this website in the description box below as well, so you can you can examine this for yourself. So the title begins, who were the Nephilim? And if I scroll down, right, got some photos. Right, here we are. Okay, so right here we can see that a couple of archaeologists or paleontologists are examining a Nephilim giant, and as you can see, it's huge. Yes, it could be fake. I thought I'd say that before any smart aleck out there says, "Oh, but these photos are fake, Craig. These photos could be..." Yes, I'm aware of that, but nevertheless, whether these photos are fake or not, it's still intriguing and it's still interesting. So as you can see here, we got a couple of paleontologists, and they are examining this giant. I mean, this giant is, it's it's pretty big to say the least, isn't it? I mean, just even look at the size on that skull, right? And even and compare this giant skull to these two heads by here, and as you can see, this is a very big giant, and as you can see as well, it came to a violent death because there's a hole in the side of its skull, right? It could have been killed by people who had not yet been tainted by the Nephilim bloodline. Because if you read Genesis 6, it says that the reason why God also killed all of the birds and the and the crawling insects and everything, because everything had become evil. Everything. I mean, even insects. This is what you have to this is what you have to understand. The world that Noah and his family had to endure before the floods. Even insects were evil, right? That is how tainted the world had become. So as you can see, they're here and they are examining this skull. Okay, so if we scroll down, right? Nephilim, fallen angels or giants. They were giants who were the offspring of fallen angels. In the book of Genesis, chapter 6, as I said in my previous video about the Nephilim, the fallen angels were also known as the sons of God. And as I said before in that video, and I'll say again, the sons of God isn't referring to Jesus Christ of Nazareth, who was the Son of God, who died on the cross for our sins, nor is this in reference to God's people. No, right? In the book of Genesis, the sons of God is referring to these fallen angels, right? So you have to get that. So you have to get it into a context, right? And as it says here, the Nephilim were giants, the violent, superhuman offspring produced when wicked angels mated with human women in the days of Noah. And that is what I was trying to say, and I did say in the first video, right? I mean, it even says here, we know from Genesis chapter 6 verse 4 that Nephilim were the offspring of the sons of God, right? As I just said, the sons of God is the offspring. The sons of God are referring to these fallen angels, right, who rebelled against God in heaven. They teamed up with Satan, and that is why God kicked them out of heaven, right? When we discuss the details about the Nephilim in Christian circles today, there is always disagreement. Is there a correct answer to who exactly were the Nephilim? Scholars and theologians find the subject fascinating. And I find this very fascinating. So if you scroll down, right, now here is where the disagreement comes in, okay? Because here, right, you got there's 4 theories of how these evil entities came into a being. The first view is that fallen angels had relations with the daughters of men, which resulted in part human, part supernatural being, the Nephilim. Right, that's the first theory. The second theory, the second position held by some, is that demons of fallen angels possessed men and had relations with the daughters of men, resulting in the Nephilim. 3. A third position called the, let me move the cursor, I do apologize. Right, okay, right, start again. The third position called the Sethite view. I'll be honest, I've never heard of that theory, but anyway, right? A third position called the Sethite view is held by some scholars. The Sethite view defines the sons of God as the righteous line of Seth. No, I don't agree with that at all. I mean, that makes no sense whatsoever. Lastly, a view held by the minority is the sons of God were simply fallen men. No, definitely not. The sons of God were fallen angels who had sex, perhaps even raped women, and the fallen men were, of course, these things. Ta-da! I mean, can you imagine encountering this, when it was alive in the days of Noah? It would be absolutely terrifying. But anyway, scrolling down to theories, I believe in the first two, right? It could have either been that one, or perhaps both happened either at the same time or during different times. What I also believe as well is that the closer that the time came when God sent the flood to destroy these wicked things, right? The more and more the giants got uglier, they got bigger, they became more violent and more wicked, right? But that's not in the Bible. It just simply says there were giants in the earth in those days. So So what I've just said there, that's just a belief, okay? That's just a belief of mine. Okay, now if we scroll down, we'll see some more photos. Are Nephilim among us today? Well, it says in the flood that they were destroyed in the flood. However, there were still giants in the earth after the flood. Whether they were Nephilim giants, who knows, right? But anyway, right? And of course, here is a painting. It's not a photo, it's a painting where this is a Nephilim giant. As you can see, it's pretty small for a giant, but it's still much bigger than these people, to say nevertheless. And as you can see, the artist has portrayed this giant as being very angry. Yeah, he's thrown a cart, and he is now confronting, or what I should say is these three people who are confronting this giant. And there's a guy here who's armed with some sort of a pole, and in the forefront again we see one's arm and a clenched fist. So obviously there's some confrontation going on there, because that's understandable, because it was a violent time. Men's thoughts were evil continuously, right? Try and let that sink in. Men's thoughts were evil continuously, not now and again, or here and there, or sometimes. No, continuously. Their evil thoughts were never ending. Let's scroll down again, and we'll click on this one. Well, okay, we've just examined this photo, haven't we? So we'll go to the next one, and look at this. Look at this giant. It's absolutely huge. I mean, this giant, right, is even a bigger than the previous one. And as you can see, it's a very, very big giant, right? Even his collar bone, right, is much bigger than these two people. But I'll be honest. Oh yeah, and you got those are there as well, right? But I'll talk about that photo I'll talk about this photo after I've talked about this one. Personally, I believe that this photo is a fake. I believe that this photo is photoshopped. I believe it's been edited, right? It's been altered, right? Because, I mean, right, okay, well, so why do I believe that this photo is fake? Simply because the angle is all wrong, right? I mean, you see these two people here and this vehicle, right? They're obviously on the flat, okay? So it's horizontal, right? So that's horizontal. This skull is vertical, and the way it's positioned, it is perpendicular to our view, right? So, you know, and it just doesn't make sense. Horizontal, and then suddenly vertical. I mean, it looks, the way the skull is positioned, it looks as if it's in some kind of a gorge or chasm, right? Also as well, the reason why I find this photo fake, you see these people here, if I zoom in, you see these paleontologists or archaeologists here, they are completely ignoring this thing. They are completely ignoring this giant. You know, I mean, if you came across this, right, you're not going to be examining anything else. I don't care what you find. I don't care if you find a pot of silver or pot of gold. If you come across this thing, you're not going to care about examining anything else. You are going to be focusing and only focusing on this, right? So this is another reason why I believe this photo is fake. I believe that these two people, those are three people, I can't quite, no, it's three people, right? 1, 2, 3. Een, die, tree. Eins, zwei, drei. Yes, I do speak a bit of German. And so, right, now, it's obviously that they are not aware of this, right? Because if they were, why are they ignoring it? Yes, it could be that they came across this and then they found something else. But as I said, it's very unlikely, because if you came across this thing, if you discovered this, you are not going to be focusing on anything else. So what I believe is that these three humans, they're not aware of this Nephilim giant, because at the time, this didn't exist when they were there. This has been taken from somewhere else and has been superimposed, right? Has been edited and has been altered into this photo. Okay, and I don't know what that thing is. Oh yes, and I will examine this as well. And that, I mean, what is that? I know it says like T. Is that T or is that J? I don't know. Right? It's fake. I believe it's fake. Anyway, now this photo, I believe, is genuine, because they are working together, right? And this is, a giant skull. Obviously, it's not as big as this one, but this is still bigger than all these people. It's possible that this could have been an infant, a Nephilim, but as you can see, this thing, it must have been very heavy, and through teamwork they've managed to pick up the skull and put it onto their cart, and as you can see by the looks of it, they're pushing us up a hill. Okay, now, so moving on. Oh yeah, hang on, it's by here now, right. Now, look at this, look at that. That is a big giant, and as you can see, this Nephilim giant also came to a violent end. I mean, this is the worst skull that I've come across so far, right? And, this is a worse death than the other previous skulls I've just shown you, because whereas previously we saw just a small hole in the side of that skull's side, at the side of its skull. This face has been completely crushed. Look, it's been completely smashed. Look at that. Look, it's it's all that part there. It's just one big hole, right? I mean, that this came to a violent death. And when you read Genesis, right? When you read Genesis chapter 6, and you study the world before the flood, you then come to realize that it's not a surprise, because these were, it was a violent world. And as you see, there's another jaw from a different individual. Again, that could be an individual. There's a villager here who's just in complete shock, and she is completely mesmerized because she's looking at another skull here, also came to another violent death. It's possible that these two could have been from the same family and fought each other, right? Because it wouldn't surprise me. It's just come to me now. Yeah, the thought has just come to me now that when when a family of Nephilim giants, when they had a domestic dispute, when they had domestic violence, it was domestic violence. There's no doubt about it. And as you can see, there's another guy up here, and he's just looking down in the skull. Go to the next one. Here's another giant. I estimate that I estimate that when alive, this giant would have been anything from 15 to 20 feet tall, right? As you can see, it's laying down. You got three people who are examining it. As I said, it could be fake, right? But it looks genuine to me. This a guy here has got its hand on its ankle, so it's obviously examining his foot. This guy has got a pencil and a piece of and a notepad, and he's examining his thigh. And this guy here is either examining the back of its rib cage, or it could be examining his spine, or the back of the skull. But yeah, right. Moving on, and yeah, I think that's it. But on Twitter, I came across this, and you're not going to believe this, right? Look at the size of that thing. This is the biggest Nephilim skeleton that I've ever come across so far, right? I mean, we will even start with this guy here, right? Now, obviously, this guy is chiseling out some dirt so we can get a closer look at the back of its jawline, standing on the back of its neck vertebrae. And as you can see, if you look closely, you see a large gap, right? There's a large gap, and this is right, and this just goes to show just how big its neck was, right? This, look in there, he's pausing for the camera. Look, yes, right? And as you can see, this evil thing also came to a violent death as well, because you can see that there's a hole in the side of its skull, and the skull, and this Nephilim giant has got some teeth in, and what you have to understand is, right, now after seeing these photos, and after I've explained these photos, and after I've examined these photos, and of course you've been examining them as well because you've been watching this video, now you come to understand what Noah and his family had to put up with. Noah and his family had to live with creatures like this. He had to hide from creatures like this, and he had to defend himself and his family from creatures like this. And this is why God sent the flood. Anyway, I would like to know your thoughts and your theories on this. Do you think they're fake, or do you think they are real? Yes, I am in my pajamas because I've had a gout. I've had very difficulty walking. I've had gout in the knee. Even though usually a gout can happen in the big toe, it can happen in the knee as well. So I've been on crutches to get around, and I haven't been out for a week because I've just been in a lot of pain. But anyway, forget about my health. What are your views on these creatures? What are your thoughts? Please leave your comments in the comment section below. Please don't hesitate to subscribe. Please don't hesitate to hit that like button. And I said, yes, I am in my gym jams, but yeah, so please comment, please subscribe. Please don't hesitate to hit the like button. God bless you all in Jesus' name. And remember, to my brothers and sisters in Christ out there, if I don't get to see you in this lifetime, I shall see you all in our Father's kingdom. God bless.